the person I'm working for, because I'm like freelance, and calls me and goes, "Did you tell someone not to behave like a terrorist?" And I was like, "I told like 5 guys that. Why?" And she goes, "Well, one called their agent." And I was like, "Yeah." And then she's like, "He was Middle Eastern." And I was like, "Is that important for the commercial?" Oh, I see it now.
Welcome to My Worst Audition.
All right, welcome back once again to My Worst Audition. With me today is the lovely Paige Jennifer Barr. Did not know your middle name was Jennifer. She's an accomplished actor, sketch performer, writer, and casting director living in New York City. She's performed at the UCB Theater, The Pit, The Laugh Factory, and many others. She was a performing and writing member of the feminist sketch comedy group Women Aren't Funny. She was also on the UCB improv team Bogus Sting and an originator of the improv genre The Evente. Favorite acting projects include performing opposite Kristen Scott Thomas in Sarah's Key and opposite Edie Falco in Nurse Jackie. She's a very lovely lady. Other notable credits include shows like The Blacklist, For Life, and Law and Order SVU opposite Mariska Hargitay. Paige is also an accomplished comedy short filmmaker, writing, producing, and acting in many of her own projects, including the comedy web series Shoulda Swiped Left, which I was in. Thank you very much, Paige. She brought her solo show Death, Dating, and I Do based on her experiences as a caregiver and then widow from NYC to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival in 2018, in 2019 to Boston and London, and then when 2020 happened, she pivoted to making short films. Her most recent work, The Mom and the Mom, yes, that is the title, The Mom and the Mom, just premiered at the New York Chain Film Festival. In her spare time, she volunteers for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Paige Jennifer Barr, thank you very much for joining me.
Hello.
Hello, it's lovely to see you.
So great to see you.
Good to see you. By the way, I am also in a masculinist sketch comedy troupe, also titled Women Aren't Funny.
It's very funny. You're so funny.
That's it. That's the end of my funny. I leave the rest of it to you.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Feminist sketch comedy is not as easy as you think it would be to make that shit funny. You're like, how do you make abortion funny? Because that shit's hilarious when you can't get abortion care. Like, we did this 15 years ago, and then you're just like, wah, wah, wah. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, the jokes were supposed to help the situation, right?
That's what they had told us, that art would influence people. Maybe we should have performed more in Kentucky and Tennessee and all the middle part.
I thought you were going to say maybe we should have performed more abortions, but no. Apparently.
Unlicensed, because I do not hold a medical degree, but sadly, to the chagrin of my parents. So.
Oh yes, believe me, I've heard the whole thing. I'm, Jewish on one side, immigrant father on the other. I know all about how I should have been.
How did it go so wrong for you?
I don't know. I tell my dad, I play a doctor on TV. That's close, right? It's like, get it. I came from Egypt and this with no money, and this is what you have done. Okay, all right. Just play with your grandkids. Everything's fine.
So your grandfather was Egyptian and your grandmother was Jewish?
My father's Egyptian. He's like fresh off the boat. He still talks like Balki Bartokomous, if you know the Perfect Strangers reference. It really is like being raised by Balki. Yeah. And my mother's side is like 3rd generation Polish-Russian Jew. So those families got along swimmingly.
I bet. And the weird thing is that so similar.
In many ways they are.
Ways they are.
Actually, yes. I see the Palestinians and the Israelis like fighting over there, and I'm like, you realize
which
both
one?
of you. I know.
Which one are you? I can't even tell.
Yeah. You both have the same stupid mentality sometimes. It's like Coke fighting Pepsi. It's like,
Yes, what... yeah. You're just literally like, can everyone just sit down and have some hummus?
Yeah.
And we can all just calm the fuck down. Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, I think we should be pro-human. I'm just throwing that out there. No? Okay, no. Ow. Yeah.
No,
that's how I feel
Paige.
at the moment. Yeah, sorry.
I'll pick the people that get to live and those that get to die based on arbitrary physical characteristics. Or which God they believe in.
That's the one.
that's the one.
Anyway, about your podcast, solving the world's problems, one terrible audition at a time.
I know. Yeah, we were talking like at the beginning. I was like, Paige, how you doing? And you're like, I'm doing well. And you're like, no, you know what? I'm doing okay. And
Yeah.
I said, Paige, I appreciate the honesty, because so many people would just be like, oh, everything's great. And, if it's not great, it's not great. There's a lot of trouble in the world, and we're obviously dealing with not being employed right now. And it's okay to say, hey, things could be better. But,
Things like, but it's like on one hand, it's like an embarrassment of riches, right? I have a wine rack behind me. I have a roof over my head.
In the grand scheme of like global history, we have it better than like 99.999% of people who've ever existed. So that said, we're in very, very good shape.
But my first world problems are fucking like really stressful. Yeah. But you know what I mean? So I'm like wearing a headset that, I'm really glad that I didn't go into retail, because this is really like, this is going to give me a headache. Anyway, so the funny thing is I have been listening to your podcast, and I was like, oh yeah, that one. Oh, what was I thinking? Anyway, so it's like a, like a trip down just embarrassment lane, really.
I love it. I love it.
So I have a few.
Hey, swing away and
let's dive in. I'm just gonna.
Yeah, I mean, sure. Like if you want to do a couple of appetizers first, you want to go straight to the main course. Whatever you want to do.
Okay. So I feel like let me start with a light one. So it's before the pandemic, because now with the pandemic, you can, record them at home. And now I can do them like 5 in a row, moving on. I'll watch it. Sometimes I'll be like, can I do it a little smaller? Something like that. But even before that, we were doing some self-tapes and stuff. But back in the day when you had to show up, and there was something, and it was like, it was an audition for a cruise line. And the description, sometimes I get like, plain, not too pretty. And I like respond to my agent, because I don't give a fuck. I'm like, how much is it? Delightful. Will I be wearing diapers? I'm in. I don't give a shit. And but like I'll respond to my agent like, hey, I'll try my best not to look too beautiful. But I'm just like,
sure.
He knows I get it, but at the same time, you're like, really? They know I'm seeing it. Like, come on. But as a casting director, we'll get to that part. I know, because, it's like nobody wants their time to be wasted. So I get it. But anyway, so I'm on this quest. It's like 15 degrees outside in New York City. And in the copy, it's like big, huge personalities. And it's like, you have to be on this cruise for like 2 weeks, and they're going to make some sort of promotional video out of it or whatever. But you have to like go around the cruise, like entertaining people for, I guess, hours at a time.
Okay.
But it pays like $20,000 or something. And I'm like, I'm getting this job, like whatever, right? And so I go, and they are like, if you play any musical instruments, bring them, so I played the ukulele. I learned after my late husband died. And someone was like, you can never be sad with the ukulele. Here's the ukulele. And I was like, thank you. And I put it in a closet for a while, but then I learned it, show up to this audition. And I did not know that if it's 15 degrees out, your string instrument will not be able to be tuned.
I just learned this moment. Okay.
You can look this up.
All right.
So traditionally, when a president is sworn in, they'll play. Mm-hmm. But if it's like 18 degrees out, which I think Obama, when he was sworn in, it was like, there wasn't as much global warming. And it was 15 degrees out, and they could not play live because you just cannot keep your instrument tuned. So I went to this audition, and I'm like trying desperately to play. And so they think I'm a terrible player, which makes me like even more like, like trying to be this like, I'm funny and hilarious and I'll keep you engaged, and I'm like insane. And my agent, bless his little heart, because I called and I was just like, because it would have really, really, obviously, like, who doesn't want to have a $20,000
I'll take
job?
$20,000. Yeah, sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And he was sort of like, I said, what's the feedback? Is there any feedback? Like, did I like whatever? And he was just sort of like, yeah. And he's trying not to be like, they said you were insane, Paige. What happened? But so he's being like super nice about it. But I just was like, I was trying to show them how fun and friendly I was. And he was like, yeah, they didn't think they could deal with that for 2 weeks. And I was just like, lesson learned. Okay. But I was like, that's really interesting. But like, I took like the description so seriously, but in the wrong way. And I'll tell you a really dumb thing I did once as a casting director. So, and you'll appreciate this as a Middle Eastern person, or a person of Middle Eastern descent.
Thank you. Yeah, I was born in New Jersey. I was born in the Middle East of New Jersey.
So I'm putting people on tape for whatever, puppies, arms full of puppies, right? And they're, like it's non-union. So these guys are coming in and some are like pretty serious, or like it's like Shakespeare, or, they're auditioning for like Thug Number 3 or Terrorist, whatever. And I'm just like, so I say like to maybe 5 people all day, I'm like, you're not auditioning to be a terrorist. You're auditioning to hold an arm full of puppies. So why don't you smile? Why don't you lighten up? And they're like,
are they infidel puppies? Because that will inform my choices.
So 4 out of these 5 guys are like, right, puppies, not, okay, don't be serious. Okay, sorry. So I race the other one, we do it again. And this one kid's like, okay. And he does it again. He doesn't really smile. I don't even know if he smiles, whatever. It doesn't, it's like I got like 40 people that day. And I'm just like, lighten up, kiddo. And like, he just doesn't, whatever. So I'm home making a salad or whatever you do when you get home. And
sure, whatever you do.
Yeah. And or maybe it's like later that day. I don't even remember. And the person I'm working for, because I'm like freelance, and calls me and goes, did you tell someone not to behave like a terrorist? And I was like, I told like 5 guys that. Why? And she goes, well, one called their agent. And I was like, yeah. And then she's like, he was Middle Eastern. And I was like, is that important for the commercial? Oh, I see it now. I literally was like, I didn't say you look like a terrorist when you smile like that. Stop smiling like, or don't grimace like that. You look, I didn't say any, I just was like, you're not auditioning to be Thug Number, you know what I mean? Like, I would just be like, you're not, because like, you're stereotyped. I'm the mom with the bad behaving child. I'm the mom with the garbage. Like, she chose the wrong garbage. It's like, if you're not willing to accept some, like, they have 30 seconds, 15 seconds to be like, this is a mom who's cleaning her house. And you're like, I'm a feminist, but I could really use this money. You're like, so I auditioned an old friend. Oh, he's now, like, I haven't seen him in so long, and we became friends because I was auditioning this guy, and I said, you're not quite old enough. And it was for the Virginia lottery, the New York lottery.
Okay.
And I said, but they might be willing to make a secondary role. So you just, whatever you do, just smash this out of the park.
Okay.
And I said, I will give you all the information. And he was Indian, from India.
Okay.
And he either immigrated as a kid or grew up or was born here or whatever. But it was like, he grew up in Indiana. Okay. Like, so he's just like this farm boy, but he was Indian.
Gotcha.
But he auditioned a lot as as he would say, like, cab driver or whatever.
Exactly.
And I won't do the accent so that it won't go viral. And
it's okay. I'll do it for you. Go. Please continue. Okay,
yes.
here you go.
He would be like, "Oh, Paige, I don't give a shit." He was literally like, "I want to make my health insurance. I literally don't give a shit. If I did, I would not be in this business." And he was like, "Sometimes I get to play awesome and amazing characters, and then the other times I'm like a cab driver." And I said, and he smashed it. Like, I cannot even tell you how hard it was not to audibly laugh, but I sent in his audition tape shaky because I was laughing so hard.
That's great.
And they made a role for him, and it played for it was like such a success story. But anyway, so that poor kid, if you're listening, I'm so sorry. It didn't even occur to me.
Yeah. Ooh, that's rough. But we've all had those moments where you say something, you don't even realize it, and it's totally taken the wrong way. I mean, I, on the other hand, realize what I'm saying, and then I just say it anyway, because I'm an ass like that.
That's what I love about you. Don't you have a card that's like professional asshole or something?
I do. I used to have cards as professional jackass. I really did. Well, when I would call you in, or I'd like say because you come across the desk or whatever, and I'd be like, yeah, he's actually super nice. He just has a face like that. It's sort of super punchable, but I promise you, he's a nice guy.
He's a mensch. I don't tell anybody. He has a rep. Oh God, I was thinking this is not an audition, but I was taking like one of those pay to play, meeting a casting director, and they'll give you feedback. And so,
you're doing a quote unquote class where you are.
And often it's like they literally will give you feedback, like, look, make sure your eye lines or stuff that you're just like, oh, you're right. I was really not, anyway.
Little things like that.
My rule of thumb now is just like, don't move your face and make a choice.
Yep.
So the day I learned how to actually, what this really, 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 really meant, when they are like, just make a choice, could be anything, just make a choice. And I would always be like, yeah. So on the copy that she gave me, it was a nurse, and it said vampire nurse. And then there was a second scene so the nurse is asking her all these questions. And then the second scene, the tests have come back, I guess. And she's just like, okay, I'm going to hand you the instructions, and this is what happened. The doctor's going to come in a second. So I was like, vampire nurse. Okay, well, I guess she's really cold and she's an emotional vampire. Like, I didn't know what it meant. I had no idea. So I just went in, and I was like, just very cold, and was like, I have other things to do, but actually I want to talk to you about myself, but I can't because I've only got these lines.
Okay.
And so I just did what, whatever a vampire nurse. And then I thought, well, they didn't call her a vampire nurse the second scene because she warms up. I had no idea. I literally had no idea. And the casting director just kind of was like, so it's Halloween, and she's dressed like a vampire.
Gotcha.
And then she said, but you made a choice. And I swear to God, she was like, oh. It was just like.
I've been on, not as much as you, I've been on the other side of the casting table, and I've experienced the same thing. And I mentioned on another episode, I talked with somebody who's a major casting director in an office in New York City. And she said, if you're coming in for me, you're already going to be a pretty darn good actor. I want to see something from you. I want to see a choice. I want to see something that
even if it's the wrong choice.
Even if it's the wrong choice, because I'm going to see 30 people coming in reading the same thing in the same way. And aside from my job, aside from the technical aspects of it or trying to accomplish it, I'm a human being. It just gets boring after a while. Give me something that I'll remember you by. And
just totally making the choice. Yeah. And just like making the choice, like, did you walk in and have a good day? I had an acting partner who was like, go bigger, Paige. Go bigger. They'll love that. And I'm auditioning for grieving mom number 2, and I'm like, oh, that was
that's not going to work for grieving mom number 2.
So whatever your audition partner, unless they're like unless they've already gotten cast, don't trust them.
Is that the lesson? Don't ever trust anybody you're auditioning with?
No, I'm kidding. But not if they're hot. Or at least that's the lesson I got from that.
Okay.
Anyway.
Paige,
So,
go ahead.
So you're amazing. Thank you for inviting me on here. I hope I said something.
It was a pleasure. I was going to ask, is there any place you can tell people where they can find your work or anything you're up to lately?
Paige Jennifer, PaigeJenniferBarr.com.
PaigeJenniferBarr.com. I've known you for 15 years now. This is the first time I've realized your middle name is Jennifer. PaigeJenniferBarr.com.
Yeah. And I do a Instagram called Bitch Took My Look.
Okay. Bitch Took My Look on Instagram.
Because it started when I was auditioning as a mom, and the next door was a hoochie mama, MTV Raps, Gold Lame, Furs audition, and I was like, bitch, I was gonna wear that. That would have been embarrassing.
Very nice.
I'm there with a cardigan.
Sure.
Anyway.
Paige, it's great seeing you. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, it's so nice to see you.